What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Those were both cut short by crashes. That first crash, where I was coming down the tree, that is actually a crash that separated one of the Acon ESCs, but then I epoxied it back together, and all was well. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. I don't think I said that. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. We're going to be working on one of the two Cinesplores. I don't know what to do. Both Cinesplores are getting new ESCs and new flight controllers. The ESC, I think the safest thing for me to do is to work on the backup Cinesplore tonight. So that's probably what we'll do. But what I'm unsure of is I would like to put Sharkbite in the backup Cinesplore, but I like, if I need to use this thing on a gig and shark bites being weird, I'm kind of assed out. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I think the safer thing to do would be to leave this on analog, and actually build a third Cinesplore for shark bite. Or I can say F it and just go for it. I don't know. Switching the flight controller in the ESC is going to happen no matter what. So maybe I just switch the flight controller in ESC so that this thing is like full strength, basically. Doing this with it is probably not a good idea. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. And then, yeah, down the road. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing, right? If I move it over to shark bite, I'm gonna put it on the 500 milliwatt VTX, which is like, shark bite ain't gonna change, right? Like, waiting long, like, I'm either gonna do it or I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Shark bite ain't gonna change. Why do I keep doing that? Shark bite's not gonna change, so like I kind of might as well do it right now, you know, like. But I don't know, like I'm not carrying the shark bite stuff around. So I would have to start bringing the little module with me. I don't know what to do. I'm leaning towards not putting it on, just because yeah, I mean, it's not like inside of my words eluded him, even though he does a live stream. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck it. I'm not putting shark bite in it. It's too risky. It also doesn't like save me any time putting shark bite into it. Right now, you know, like it's just pop the top plate off and do it. So it's not like, oh, I can save time by doing shark bite now while I switch the ESC and the flight controller. So yeah, what's the point? So 99% sure I'm just gonna switch the flight controller and the ESC. What that'll also do, that'll have this backup rig be actually a little bit better than the main rig, which is good because the main rig I want to get off of the Brother Hobby VY 2004 motors, and I want to try out the Newbie Drone Flow 2004s in the higher KV they made for Joshua and I. And if those motors end up being too notchy, too coggy, then I'll have the backup rig, which is like, you know, fully functional and ready to go. So yeah, I think that makes the most sense from like, you know, be ready. The reason that I have to think this way is the gigs that I've been getting are like it's like I get a text message at like 2 o'clock and it's like, hey, you available tonight or tomorrow? Like I don't ever get more than like 1 or 2 days of advance notice. So like I can't be in this like half state of like half my shit is taken apart. So like if I probably won't get the ESC flight controller swap done on this backup rig. Worst case scenario, I get the email tomorrow or the text tomorrow. I at least have my primary purple and pink rig ready to go. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. Josh Robinson, Scott FPV, Jackalope FPV, Dan Richmond, Chris Mel, JT Custom Knives, Jory FPV, Den Penicillin, no, what's that? Pencil Gwyn, Dave Pencil Gwyn, Ram Jam, Remy Tim, Northern Tier, CH3F1, B-Man, Brandon's Baked Beans, and then many repeats. License to Drive. I got most of the people from the first page. If you want to talk directly to me, all you got to do is type my name, CiottiFPV. Or if you want to support this full-time FPV journey that I'm on, you can do a super chat. Or head on over to CiottiFPV.com and there's a PayPal button. Super chats, YouTube takes 30%. PayPal, nothing happens. If you do a PayPal, make sure you tag me in a comment and say, yo, just sent you $10 via PayPal or whatever it may be. Also over on CiottiFPV.com are a whole bunch of other ways that you can support me. Affiliate links are a free way that you can support me, which help a ton. It's free money. And then I've got a link to my Etsy store, Fiverr page, and Patreon. Patreon helps me out the most. The more people that jump onto the Patreon, Patreon is basically supporting these live streams. So if you like the live streams, I do 8 to 10 hours a week, and you want me to keep doing them, Patreon is the way to show the love for the live streams. Yeah. Jackalope FPV says, happy hump day. B-Man says, what's up, what's up? Dan Richmond says, I created, then printed, and mailed a reverse Hero 8 mount for the Glide. Should be there on Friday. Rob Axelson might print you a purple one. It's a thing. It is thing 5031410. My God, you guys are on top of shit more so than I even am. I put that Patreon post up, I think like in the middle of the night, as the thought hit my big dumb brain, and then I haven't even checked back on the Patreon post. Here's what my Patreon looks like. Rear-facing GoPro mount. No, I didn't put it up at the middle of the night. I put it up at 9:15 p.m. Look at me go. Wow, 7 comments. Look at you guys. Do you have an STL in mind? Bottom mounting, standard camera angle mount. I sure wish I'd answered some of these questions for you guys. It would have probably been very helpful. Do you want it to go back to standoffs 27, farther pairway, 20 holes, one angle 30? I made one its thing. Look at this. Look at you guys. Dan Richmond, you are a fucking superstar. Damn, look at that. So that's pretty much exactly what I was thinking. Have it hook up to the rear standoffs and then the other set, but I thought you would have to step it because the other set of standoffs is up on the base plate. How did you do that? Where's that second set of Oh, you did M2 holes. You clever son of a bitch. Or did you? Did you? You did. You clever mess. I was gonna call you a gangly man, but that's me. I think that's what you did, right, Dan? Those look like M2. Those look smaller. Those look smaller than those. Yeah, that's smaller. So that's M2. So that's jacking into the to the 20 by 20 M2 holes. That's fucking brilliant. I didn't even think of that. When I was picturing it, linking up with these back ones normally, and then having like a stair step, and having the stair step come up and link in with these two guys up here. But that's kind of a pain in the ass because like the like it's a big stair step and it would just be a hot mess. I really like the idea of it going into the 20 by 20 holes. You know, the only problem is I have stuff. I have a capacitor right on top of those 20 by 20 holes, and I have the VTX. Man, I got all kinds of shit. I didn't really look at my own builds. I've got like an LED on the bottom, and the VTX is on top there. I mean, realistically, it could probably just hook up with, it could probably just use those rear two, because I'm not going to be like flying freestyle with this on. This rear facing mount is mainly for, I want to get some footage with the starlight props and the moonlight props. And the coolest footage is when the rig is in flight. But the starlight props, the LEDs face upwards. So, like, I did the one edit where I just orbited Patrick until he vomited. And when it's orbiting, you know, you can see him. The LEDs are facing upwards. But then when Patrick and I were chasing each other around, you couldn't see the damn things because the LEDs are facing this way, you know what I mean? So like what I would do is like when Patrick was flying, I would go past him and spin around, and then he would come at me for a second and then blow by me. But with a rear facing mount, what I was thinking is we can find a set of train tracks and just rail down the train tracks. And just, you know, rear facing mount, and we just get as close to each other as we can. I think that might be a really cool shot. So yeah. What's wrong with this motor? What's going on here? Why are you so angry, motor? Yeah, so that's my thought. So it's not going to be used in like a hardcore freestyle setting, you know what I mean? It's just going to be us kind of chasing each other around. So I can probably just use those two rear, that's better, those two rear mounts, and if it's a little bit floppy, that's kind of fine. And I could I might even be able to go in the I don't know. Sounds like it's already in the mail, so when it gets here, I will check it out. Rob Axelson, don't print the purple one yet if you're watching. Dan, thank you so much for making that one. I will test fit that one. I mean, realistically, we probably need to do a little bit of test fitting anyway. So yeah, I'm going to test fit that one. I'll see what works about it, what potentially doesn't work about it, and then we can adjust. Damn, you guys are ninjas. Hey, here's the link to the Thingiverse file if any of you guys want a rear-facing Glide Hero 8 mount. There you go. Very cool. Thank you, Dan. That's amazing. Going back into the Patreon post here, I would think the angle would be down, not up, as the front having up tilt, whatever level footage. Putting one now at negative 30 degrees. That's perfect. Yeah, I mean, that, you know, the angle is another thing that needs to kind of be figured out. You know, we run 30 degrees up on the front of the rig, and then we put the nose down and whatnot. If we're putting but see, one of the things that we do is we put the horizon, like, if your whole view right now is your FPV view, right? We tend to put the horizon, like, down here. Like, we don't usually put the horizon in the middle of our I at least don't. I keep the horizon down here because of the rule of thirds. So what might happen with 30 degrees rear is maybe it's the opposite, and it might show too much ground. But I'll bolt it on and fly it and find out. That's, yeah, I mean, only one way to find out. I don't know of many people who've done the rear facing mount thing. So yeah, very cool, Dan. Version 0.1, and then we'll dial it in. You guys are amazing. Pretty much out there. Rob, since I got purple, Senate should be the front. Wow, you guys are amazing. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Very, very cool. I'm gonna leave this open in a tab here. It's time for my mailbag. Did a little order from Pyro Drone, got a couple of things, and did a little order from Chopper FPV Zone Drone. From Pyro Drone, I got one of these little iFlight 90-degree bastards. in hopes that it might work on the Cinesplore. Let's see. Let's see. Does it fit? Does it fit, and will it blend? So on the Cinesplore, you have to remove 3 whole M2 screws in order to get to the USB port, or you can spend like $4 on the little iFlight thingy and it'll go right in there. Awesome. So that does work. Very cool, except it doesn't want to come out. You can plug it in. I mean, technically you could leave it, but I ain't gonna do that. Ooh, it is hard to get out. It is very hard to get out. Come on. Come out of there, little friend. There we go. Not impossible to get out. It might loosen up. I can also, I can file away at the little, there's these 2 little latches on the USBs. Very cool. I like that. Good job, iFlight. I'm going to put that right there and then forget that I ever bought it and probably never use it. I got another one of these version 4 1056Ss. I like the version 1 of these Tattoo R-lines the best because they're 170 grams. These version 4s are 180 grams. I don't love that, but they do deliver power a little bit better. The only problem with them for me thus far is that there's been a pretty crazy failure rate on these version 4 Tattoo R-lines. This is the 5th one that I've bought. 3 out of those 5 have failed. They have dropped the cell after only being run a couple of times. So if this one doesn't survive, I'm never going to buy another version 4 Tattoo R-line again. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. You can still get the version 1s. I'm kind of buying... I kind of bought this just out of morbid curiosity as to whether or not it's gonna survive. So I don't know, we'll see. This is actually an order I did from Race Day Quads, come to think of it, and the reason that I did this order is they were doing a little special on 3 of their GNB white labeled 4S 850s. For a really good price. These ended up costing me like 16 bucks each, I think, which is like the cheapest I've ever seen a good quality 4S 850. And I am kind of stocking up on 4S 850s at the moment because this is the battery that I'm going to be using for both of my Cinesplores and all of the Ripsqueaks. So I figured it was a good way to get a couple of these guys cheap. These batteries are going to get the hell beaten out of them on the Ripsqueaks, so I want to have a lot of them because I also need to use them on the Cinesplores. Again, you know, if I get a text message now like, hey, gig tomorrow, are you available? I need to be able to say yes, and I need to be able to have enough batteries that are in good working order to be able to do that. So 3 more of those 4S 850s. This is the other reason that I did an order on RDQ. They had this open box Happy Model Crazy BX version 2.2 F4 1-2S AIO for 25 bucks actually. And I want to build a no-holds-barred, indoor, DVR only Tiny Whoop. So I'm going to do that with this. It didn't say in the listing whether or not it had the SPI receiver, whether this was the version that had the receiver built in or didn't. And I was hoping that it would have the receiver built in. Unfortunately, it doesn't. So that's kind of annoying because that rig is just going to be for ripping like inside. So I don't need an external receiver with diversity and shit like that, you know, like an RXSR or a B-ceiver. And yeah, that just adds more complexity to the build. I got to find a spot to put it. This build is going to, oh, actually it's right here. This build is going to have the Tiny Whoop pinch cam on it, which is a separate camera and a separate VTX that sit like this. So I guess what I'll do is put the, I think I have an extra Newbie Drone B-ceiver, which is a very lightweight little It's just like an RXSR, but even lighter, and it's got 2 little tiny diversity antennas. So I assume what I'm going to do is camera, VTX, and then I'll put the little B-Siever on top of the VTX, and hopefully the VTX doesn't get so hot that it melts the VHB. I can't imagine that it does. But yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to this build, so I can really... I try not to fly the 2 Tiny Whoops that I have built right now are mainly built to carry the Insta360 Go 2. So they're almost like cinematic Tiny Whoops, sort of. So I try not to bash the shit out of those because I need them to be as smooth as possible for no jello. So this is going to be great because, you know, I'm going to beat the living hell out of it. And I love flying Tiny Whoops really hard in the house. It's a really fun thing to do, especially on these 24, 25, 26,000 kV. Why can't I pick up this little piece of white something? Got it. Yeah. Words. More words here. And then I stocked up on, because it looks like they had a little discount on these, so I was worried that they would be discontinuing them. I got a bunch more of these 1000 UF capacitor stickers. That one's supposed to be a potato, but I think it looks like a burrito. So I'm gonna have a capacitor that looks like a burrito. There's the nitrous one. There's the Red Bull one. And then I got to celebrate the Atlanta Pride. Coca-Cola is from Atlanta. And I got 2 more of the Coca-Cola ones. The Coca-Cola ones are also good too because they're red. And like all my freestyle builds are purple and red. So yeah, more stickers. I'm a big fan of stickers, guys, if you didn't know. I'm a sticker kind of guy. So yeah, some things. Got some things. And then on the last stream, I said, hey, anybody selling HD3s or HDOs or anything like that? And weirdly, Chomper FPV was like, I'm selling a set of each, a set of HD3s and a set of HDO2s. So I opted to buy the HD3s from him just so that I had 2 completely identical sets of goggles. And they showed up today, and I've spent some time pimping them out. Chomper, thanks, brother. He gave me a great deal on them, and they were nice and clean. And yeah, I've begun putting stickers on them. Came with the rapid fire, and yeah, so I put a little Pretty Fly or they're not Pretty Fly anymore. They're Broken Prop Club strap that I've had for a while. Through the holographic sticker on them. Hold on here. I'm gonna see it better. Threw one of my old school holographic stickers on there. Got this new purple GNB sticker. And then I've got the old school Immersion RC CP antenna there, as well as a left-hand circular polarized True RC OCP antenna with a nice long connector on it. And then he also sent the FPV Geek switch here, and then I put some TPU stuff that I had floating around on him as well. I'm gonna throw another couple stickers on at some point here, and yeah. Thanks, Chomper. This is very cool, man. This is really, really nice to have a backup set of goggles. Again, if I'm out, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, I won't bring 2 sets of goggles with me to shoots, but because it's just too much. Like, I can't pack 2 of everything per se. Like, that would just be insane. But you know, if something goes wrong, I can buzz home and grab the second set of goggles, or I don't know. Maybe I will start bringing them. Maybe I do need to have. I don't know. I just have nightmares of like I've seen a bunch of people who have had their gear stolen from their cars and shit, and it's like you lose everything, right? Like, and that's awful. So I'm always hesitant to bring like everything I own to any one of these shoots in fucking downtown Atlanta, where like car theft is a definite problem. But yeah, just having a second set like here is kind of interesting, and this will be nice when I do build Shark Bite into something. I'll be able to just like kind of leave shark bite on one of these sets of goggles. Plus, it's nice to have a second set of goggles to bring people on ride-alongs. Like, I do have the little monitors, and like the monitors are great, but like having somebody actually put goggles on their head, you know, like that's a different experience. And so yeah, I'm really happy to have a second set of goggles here. Much appreciated, Chomper. Thanks for hooking a brother up. B-Man says, what's up? Oh no, we got that. Get. YouTube just did the thing. Scrolling back up. Gavin Ozan says... Oh shit, I'm way behind. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go fast to get caught up here. Gavin says, when is BQE Ripsqueak Micro out? Also, what would you rather fly, 3-inch or 3.5 for freestyle digital? BQE Ripsqueak Micro V1 has been out for forever. The V2 came out a month or so ago. And then, what would you rather fly, 3-inch or 3.5-inch? It depends. At the moment, 3.5-inch on this 250 is the best flying micro I've ever built. I can't speak to digital. I don't fly digital. I don't know what frames do or don't work with digital. There is a digital version of the Ripsqueak frame coming soon that's got two 20x20 stacks in it. Yeah, I mean, in terms of just, you know, if it's a safe spot to fly and we're just talking about flight dynamics, 3.5 is going to fly better because it's closer to 5-inch. 5-inch freestyle is the best flying rig, period. So the closer you get to 5-inch freestyle, 600 plus grams, the better stuff is going to fly. Like, I know that seems kind of simplistic, and I have fought tooth and nail for that to not be true over the years, but it just is. The heavier that a rig is, the more momentum, the more throw, and the more freedom that you have to do these big, wild, impressive 5-inch freestyle moves. So when you compare 3-inch to 3.5-inch, on a 3.5-inch rig, you can build it to be heavier, and it's not going to fall out of the sky like a sack of hammers like a really heavy 3-inch rig will. So I was one of the... so way back when, Quad Camp Atlanta, Power Loop, Matty Flip, folding tables in the warehouse, I became friends with Tommy. Tommy and I kept in touch after that. This is going back 3.5 years. Tommy and I kept in touch, and he'd called me a bunch for us to have conversations when he was designing the Acrobrat. When the Acrobrat first came out, I think I was the first person to get a prototype. So I have all this experience with a 3-inch rig that's kind of heavy. The Acrobrat frame is kind of heavy. You could technically build an Acrobrat to be sub 250, but it was really difficult, and you had to run really small motors, and it just didn't fly all that well. The frame was not really designed for that. The frame was designed to have the clean dirty setup. It wasn't designed to conform to a 250 gram weight limit. Realistically, with a good set of motors, the Acrobrat would weigh 270 to 280 grams. And at that weight, the 3-inch propellers were just not a big enough parachute. And what would happen is the rig would fall. It would lose elevation quicker than you want, and quicker than I was used to from any of my other rigs. So what would happen is, like, when I was reviewing my flight footage, and I would break them a lot because I would hit the ground earlier than I expected. Like, there's an expectation when you chop the throttle as to how long a rig is going to take to get to the ground. If you're doing a movement where you can see the ground in the camera view, you're fine. There are a bunch of camera movements that I like to do where that's not the case, where you're looking up or over or in a different direction where you can't see the ground to know when you're going to hit the ground. And I noticed that I would hit the ground a lot with the Acrobrat. The propellers, what you want to remember is that the propellers are always spinning, right? They're always spinning. You've always got air mode going. So they're always pushing a little bit of a column of air down the bottom of the rig. So when you come up and you go full throttle and you fling that bitch upside down or sideways or anything, anytime you come off the throttle, the column of air that the propellers are creating down here is like a big parachute. And the bigger the propellers, the bigger the parachute, right? So there's a really close relationship between the size of the propellers and the weight of the rig. If you've got big ass propellers and a really lightweight rig, it's going to take forever to fall to the ground because it's a big parachute with not a lot of weight to pull it down. The Acrobrat was the opposite of that. It was a little bit too small of a propeller for the all-up weight of the rig, in my opinion. So, what's really interesting is this 250 that I've built here and been flying for the past like month or so is on the 4-inch arms, and I've been flying it on 3.5-inch props. On 4-inch props, it's actually not heavy enough. It doesn't fall quickly enough, and it catches me out because it's too floaty. But on the 3.5-inch props, it's brilliant. And the all-up weight of this rig with a 4S850 is 280 grams, exactly what the Acrobrat was, but on a 3-inch prop. So it's kind of interesting to have come full circle, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, these are things that I'd been kind of thinking were true for a long time, and it's kind of really nice for them to, you know what I mean, for that to sort of bear fruit and to be like, oh, okay, so seems like this is actually true. So yeah, that's been kind of cool. I want to get a little bit of Loctite into these camera screws because I know that they're gonna back out, and they're a very rare screw. So I'm gonna do that while I'm working my way through the chat. Yeah, so all of this is to say that it kind of depends. It depends on the all-up weight that you're gonna end up building, Gavin. If you're looking to build a digital rig, your all-up weight is probably going to be 260, 270, 280, 290, 300. So in that case, I would go with a 3.5-inch rig for sure. If you're looking for your micro to fly as similar as possible to a 5-inch freestyle rig. See, so that's the big caveat here is like, you know, my preferences don't really mean anything. You know, like if you don't like the way that a 600-gram 5-inch rig flies, then why would you want to build a micro that flies similar to that, right? Like, you might like the way that a heavier weight 3-inch build flies, or a lighter weight, you know what I mean? So it's tough for me to answer that question. All I can really do is answer it from my own perspective, which I'm sure is what you're looking for. But, you know, I just want to make you understand that don't just take everything that I say as gospel. You need to think about what you like, basically, right? Like, what your preferred flight experience is. So, for example, right, like, if you love the way toothpicks fly, those are a platform that's got practically no weight, and lots and lots and lots of propeller size. So if that's what you prefer, then you actually would want to be looking at a 4-inch propeller. Because a 4-inch propeller on a 300-ish gram rig is going to be the closest thing to the way that a toothpick flies. So yeah, keep that all in mind, because that's pretty important. That's really, really important for you to, yeah, just understand that. And I never really hear people talking about that. You know, people just say, oh, this is the greatest rig ever. It's like, oh, okay. Care to elaborate, or just assume that we're going to believe you? So yeah, definitely keep that in mind as I dump. There we go. That's what I wanted. As I dump Loctite into these holes. Really good question. There are other concerns. 3.5 inch. You know what? I mean, those are the main things. Those are the main things that you want to think about. What I was about to say is that, like, you know, more power equals more noise. So depending on like where you're gonna fly, that could have a lot to do with it. You know, as you go up in prop size, the arms get longer, the frame gets heavier, and again, there is going to be more noise associated with that. More power always equals more power equals noise. Period. That's a constant in cars, in FPV, in the world. So yeah, there are some other things to think about here, but the main one is flight characteristics, in my humble opinion. Do you guys know that's what IMHO stands for? I used to have to look IMHO up. Every time I would see it, I would have to go look it up. But then eventually, I remembered what it stands for. Ricardo says, what are your thoughts about Bluej ESC firmware? Installed it on 1.6 inch whip and flew it a couple of times. Got longer flight time. Chris Rosser said it in his latest video that the Betaflight devs recommend Bluej for 4.3. No shit. I've not tried Bluej. I'm happy with BL Heli. But if the Betaflight devs are recommending it, that's kind of wild. I feel like I remember hearing that the Betaflight devs and the BL Heli devs are not like, I don't know. I don't want to say like they don't like each other, but I feel like I might remember hearing that like there might be some weirdness there. I could totally be wrong, but I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, I haven't tried Bluej. BL Heli just seems fine. Does Bluej have something in there that BL Heli doesn't? Like, what do you guys know about it? Anything? Michael Blade says, hey, what's good? BeepTube says 30 by 30 1 watt VTX is what I would wait for a build to do gigs. So I fly Immersion RC Tramps, which are 500 milliwatts. So I'm not necessarily afraid of the fact that Sharkbite is only 500 milliwatts. I'm afraid of the fact that it's not analog. You know, I've been flying analog for almost 5 years now. I know it upside down and backwards. And I can hand a director of photography a monitor that connects to analog and shows them what I see. Having Sharkbite, I can't do that. I don't have a monitor that I can hand them to look at what I'm looking at. And that's not always a problem, but it certainly can be a problem. I've certainly had shoots where the directors, I mean, more often than not, the directors trust me and just tell me to do whatever the hell I want, which is incredibly flattering. They've all seen my work from the previous shit that I've done, and they're just like, you know, nothing I'm gonna tell you is gonna match your creativity with this shit. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty slick. Yeah, I don't know. I actually, when they tell me that, like, I kind of push back on them a little bit, and I'm like, well, you know, like, this is your baby, like, you know the shots that you want. It'll actually really help me if you have like anything in mind. And sometimes they do, usually they don't. Because usually they're using it for kind of B-roll, and they've got, you know, they just can't really wrap their heads around what's possible with these things. They can only really wrap their heads around what's possible with a Red or an RE or you know, a DSLR. But yeah. And I mean, like, SharkBite does have HDMI out, I think. I could be wrong about that. But I don't have a monitor that has HD in. And the majority of these directors don't want to be standing next to me. You know, I pick a spot to fly from that's not necessarily a good spot for them to direct from, you know, and like talk to the talent from. So one of the things that I really love about analog is that the monitors are wireless, right? So the director can have the monitor wherever the hell they want to be. And then I can be wherever the hell I want to be, right? Like the best spot for me to fly from like a signal standpoint, for example. And then they can either get me on the phone or a walkie-talkie or just shout at me things, directions. And so I'll lose that a little bit with SharkBite. I would also lose that with DJI. You know, this is one of the reasons that I haven't switched to DJI yet, is I don't want to lose that wireless monitor setup that I've got that's been working really, really well for me. It's come in really handy a couple times where, like, I had to there was a point where there was a gig that I had to stand in a parking lot a block over to have like a really good spot to fly from. And I wouldn't have been able to do that on DJI because they were getting, we didn't have, it was the gig that I did for Rick Ross, DJ Drama, and Jeezy or Yeezy or one of them, one of the Yeezys. And yeah, they were like run and gut, like we only had the talent for like a short little period of time, so they had to bang out all the shots on the red, and then I had like 3 minutes to get my flight shots in, and so yeah, it wouldn't have worked to have the director and everybody come all the way over. It was like, they're done with those shots. Ciotti, go up, boom, 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 done. All right, next. And he was actually yelling at me from the rooftop initially, and then we got a cell phone call going so that he could give me a little bit of direction. So, yeah. Michael Blade saying, what's good? BeepTube says, no, we got that. Bob Noxious says, howdy, CiottiFPV and Collective. BeepTube says, the old 500 milliwatt SharkBite VTX doesn't perform all that well in terms of output power for some reason. Well, that sucks. That sucks. Ram Donko says, oh, you know what? No, that's right. I'm not putting that on the... I'm going ultra fucking meme lord. I totally forgot about this. I'm going ultra meme lord with the, is that a thing? Is that, you PC Master Race people, you let me know. You know all the good sayings. I'm gonna put it into this thing. The Cinolog 35. Yeah, I'm gonna be ultra meme lordy, and I'm gonna have the only SharkBite Cinolog, because there's a really easy spot to put it right down here. So yeah, I'm not putting it on the Cinewhoops. Good, awesome. No yelling on the bus. So that's good. I'm happy about that. That makes me happy in the pants. I gotta leave myself a little reminder about that, because I will not remember, just like I didn't remember a minute ago. Wait, did I already give myself the reminder? No, I didn't. What did I do with the, SharkBite stuff? Oh, here it is, right in front of me. Yeah, perfect. I'll put it on that Cinolog, because I don't really, that Cinolog is not, I mean, maybe it'll become a part of my arsenal or whatever, but I doubt it. I have a feeling that it'll just be a something that I kind of play around with. Cool! Alright. I gotta pee. Hold on. Watch me destroy some stuff. Be right back. I just doing? All I heard while I was peeing is for a very long time. Was I gaining altitude? Is that what's going on there? Ramdonko says, and all had best experience ever. 3-inch ripsqueak / eek a mouse. PS learned carbon fiber is conductive equals zoom, land, boom, sparks, unplug, etc. Yeah, carbon fiber is very not very conductive, but it is conductive. Got to be careful. BeepTube says, I fly shark bite all the time and have compared the 200 milliwatt boards to the 500 milliwatt boards, and the 500 milliwatt boards don't penetrate as well. Really? Oh my god. That's kind of scary. Really? Even when it was fresh out of the box, BeepTube? That's, if that's true, then the 500 milliwatt board is putting out, I mean, penetration is penetration. Like, if a 200 milliwatt board is doing better in that respect than a 500 milliwatt, then what that means is the 500 milliwatt is putting out less than 200 milliwatts, or the 200 milliwatt is putting out less, you know what I'm saying? That's a little scary. Was it like that out of the box? Gavin says, do you know when the, oh, so we got that. That's nuts, BeepTube. That scares me. Ramdonko says, is 3 inches big enough? It is. Gavin said, oh, we got that. Velociraptor Foil says, PayPal, happy Wednesday. Oh shit, Velociraptor Foil, thank you, brother. Waiting for my email to pop up here. Come on. Come on. Velociraptor Foil with a $20 PayPal. He says, aka Velociraptor Foil. Thank you, brother. Thanks very much for the support. You guys are the best. The absolute best. Dan Richmond tagged me. He says, yes, back 4 are M2 for 20 by 20. Other 2 are below standoffs. Very cool, Dan. He says, I can make the stair-stepped version to standoffs if you want. Originally was only planning on using the back M2 and the front M3, but added the mid-holes as extras. Let me know if it needs changes. Cool. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Dan, thanks, brother. It's super, super, super cool that you made that. Lots of people fly glide frames, and so I'm sure that a bunch of people will get those printed. So it makes sense that we spend a little bit of time kind of tweaking it in a little bit. That version that you've got seems like it'll work well for most people. The way that I put my stuff in the rear of mine, it might not necessarily work perfect for me, but yeah, we'll figure it out. I super, super, super appreciate you doing it, though, man. It's very, very cool. Dusty Joe FPV says, what's up? Rad post on Instagram today. Oh, what did I put on? Oh, yeah. That was from the shoot that I did with Masego, actually, which was really, really fun. He's talking about this here. Yeah, Lexus brought this car out. I forget what it is. For Masego to drive around, and the team that I was working with did all things with the red. The big boy of Andre 3000 fame was also there, and yeah, I got to fly around those guys, which was pretty rad. This is the cart that had a whole bunch of red stuff on it. I always like to put the quad on the carts. Yeah, this Lexus was pretty sexy. And then they had a for a couple runs they had a red hanging off the side of the car, and then for my and then they actually took that off. I'm used to being in a rush, and then I'll just try to fly on the passenger side and keep the camera rig out of the frame. But on this occasion, it was kind of nice. They were willing to pull this off of the car for me, so that I could get full coverage of the car, which was pretty awesome. So yeah, this was a cool gig. This was at a music festival in Olympic Park in downtown Atlanta. So that was pretty fun. I think we did a Patreon only stream where I talked about the some of the drama that happened at that shoot. If I didn't, let me know and I will. I can do like a Patreon only stream and talk about some of the shit that went down on that shoot, which was kind of funny. And then I can't play this because it's got music on it. Oh, it's muted though. That's nice. And then last night I put up some footage of a new drift edit from like a year and a half ago that I've got with lots of fireballs and some really cool shit. If you want to hear the song that I've chosen for this and see how the footage sits with the song, head on over to my Instagram. And yeah, this will be a good one. So this is a quick... This started off... Actually, I just wanted to do like a quick little nighttime edit because I only had like 2 or 3 batteries flying at night at this event. But I have no ability to do anything quickly. And so now I'm like 10 hours into this edit, but it's pretty fucking dope. It came out really, really nice. And I'm almost finished with it. So you guys will see that on YouTube soon enough. Dusty, we got that. Riot9 says, I got some MCM chopped face mask yesterday. MCM rep. Very cool, Riot9. MCM, hey, by the way, this, I forgot to say it earlier, but this mailbag intro, that's Mighty Car Mods. They made that. I pulled that. I downloaded one of their videos and just clipped it out. So hopefully they don't attack me physically. Check out Mighty Car Mods. They are one of my favorite channels on YouTube. You're gonna love it if you're into cars at all. Frank Nicholas says, I use these little guys on my quads. Race Day Quads product. Oh wow, I was able to just click that link and it just opened up. Oh yeah, the same things that Joshua uses. Yeah, Joshua uses this little setup where these little magnetic guys stay connected to the flight controller, and then the cable is magnetically... It just magnetically snaps to it. That's a really cool little setup. I dig that. Scares me to have that little piece hooked up to the flight controller. I'm such a lunatic about having the flight controller be as light as possible and balanced and weird, but I'm sure it's totally fine to use it. Isaac M says, just finished a calc midterm that I probably failed. Thanks for distracting me from the inevitable. Seriously, it's really helpful. Maybe you didn't fail it. Maybe you got an A+, Isaac. I don't know. School's tough. But try your best. Don't beat yourself to death, and move on to the next. I think that's the only. Only advice that I can actually give in relation to school. Although I actually need to start thinking more about that because Sage and Azalea are going to both be in school for a while longer. So I need to have better advice to give human beings that are in school. So I'll just think more about it and come up with different ways to, be encouraging about something that I hated. I hated school. I really did. I was pretty hell-bent on joining the military rather than going to college. And my parents talked me out of it. I'm very glad they did. Very, very, very glad that they did. But yeah, I did not like school when I was in school. Dauntless says, I have HD3s looking to sell. There you guys go. Chomper beat you to it for me to buy them. But if anybody else wants a set of HD3s, Dauntless is selling a set. Ram Donko says Lotus. I don't know what we were talking about at the time. Maybe cars? Bob Noxious says, CiottiFPV is the man on micros. I love how my micros fly. And I know most people would say that too heavy. Not our boy here. His ideas on weight are spot on. Thank you, dude. Yeah, when micros get too heavy, it just feels awkward. Like and like, unfortunately, it feeling awkward. It's the like, well, where do I go from here? Like, what do I do? You know what I mean? Do I just get rid of it and build another one? I've spent a lot of time and effort and thought to figure out what the fuck that is. Like, what the hell does that feeling mean? You know, when you get that feeling where it's just awkward and it just doesn't feel right. Like, what the hell is that? And yeah, the ratio of all up weight to prop size is the thing that, in my opinion, has the most to do with that. But there are other things at play. Center of gravity, top mount versus bottom mount on the battery, the pitch of the propellers. What else? I guess those are the main ones. If I thought about it some more, I could come up with another couple. Kaiser Soze says, are those 3D printed arm guards working for the Glide? Sort of. I assume what you're talking about are these little arm tip protector jib jabs. I don't run them on the rear because I don't hit the rear as often. And adding weight to the ends of the arms is a bad thing. It negatively affects flight performance for sure. So I only run them on the front, and they absolutely, like, unquestionably make the carbon fiber arms last longer if you've ever had to replace a carbon fiber arm before you've broken it. Which happens to me a lot. I fly really low to the ground and I scrape the front arms on the ground at least once every few batteries. And what it'll do is it'll just wear away at the carbon. And then eventually the little carbon fiber protector that you can see against my forehead there will get worn all the way down. You know, it'll wear. And then once that little protector is gone, if you crash, the motor bell hits the concrete and just destroys the motor. So without these little TPU protectors, I would have to replace these arms when I had worn these little protectors down. And that just kind of got annoying. Because it would happen pretty quick. It would happen within a few weeks. So those TPU protectors definitely help in that respect, for sure. They also add a little bit more thickness to the arm protector, so they make it even safer because it'll hit the ground first. So for me, they definitely help. But I crash a lot and I scrape the ground a lot, flying really low to the ground. So if you don't crash as often as I do, or if you don't fly really low to the ground and scrape your arms on the ground, they might not actually help you out. And they definitely negatively impact performance because they are weight on the end of the arm, which is the worst spot to add actual extra weight. So for example, right, on my cinematic rigs, I don't use them because I don't crash those and I don't fly them so low to the ground that I scrape the ground with them. So on those rigs, I prefer to not run them because they perform better without them because the ends of the arms are lighter weight. So it depends. Don't just run them because I'm running them. Run them for a good reason. Yeah. Right 9 says, getting a big shout out from JB today on the sub 250 build page. Really? On where at? On his website? Why can't I think of his website right now? That's all right. The FPV Know-It-All. On the 250 sub 250 build page. Yeah, Joshua and I have been talking sub 50 stuff for a while now. I helped him out with a bunch of these things, a bunch of the info on here, which is pretty awesome. Oh God, look at that. Yeah, Jesus. Wow, very cool of him. He gave me a bunch of shout outs up in here. Nice. Joshua is amazing. Just amazing. Damn. Wow. Joshua never ceases to amaze me with how much he... You know what it is? Like, it's very easy to, like, forget to kind of credit other people. And people who remember to credit other people, in my experience in life, are the kind of people that I really want to be friends with, right? Because they're the people who, like, it means enough to them that you're willing to help them, that they remember. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big deal. That doesn't happen super often. And yeah, that's a big deal. And those people tend to be very caring people that are relatively woke, and, you know, they're the people that, like, remember to call you. Like, you don't always have to call them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure we've all had friends throughout our lives that, like, they only ever call or text when they need something from us. And I'm guilty of doing this too. For sure I am. So yeah, that's yeah, Joshua's unbelievable. He's a huge role model of mine, for, like, not much FPV stuff, just, like, life stuff, and just, like, human being stuff. He's somebody that, you know, I challenge myself to be more like, and yeah, it's just wild. License to Drive says, my friend built a 4-inch tiny trainer and I didn't even know they made a 4-inch tiny trainer frame. That's pretty cool. Discovered he had to put 2 4S 450 mAh packs on it because otherwise it was too floaty and lacked momentum. Yeah, that's been my experience with 4-inch, is you have to really load a 4-inch rig up or it just doesn't feel right. In my opinion, the correct all-up weight for a 4-inch rig is right around 300 grams, actually. Maybe even a little bit more. The 250 at... it's right in front of me. The 250 at 280 grams is pretty damn good, but I find myself wanting more weight out of it. Don't really know how to get more weight out of it because I'm already running a 4S 850 mAh battery. So, yeah, I don't know. That makes me kind of want to build a micro Apex with 4-inch arms, because that's a much heavier frame than the 250 frame, and that would probably put me, like, right at that targeted weight. But that frame's kind of expensive, and I don't like... I was about to say I don't like how thick the arms are, but the 4-inch arms actually... So the arms on the Micro Apex are 4 millimeters thick, and for a 3-inch arm to be that thick, I don't think is a good idea. But for a 4-inch arm to be that thick, probably about right. That's probably about the right weight. So, yeah, maybe there's a Micro Apex 4-inch build in the future. Although, here's the flip side of that. I don't know what those builds are for. They only really make sense for carrying a 40 to, like, 60 gram HD camera. And there is no such thing, really, at this point. So, like, that's what I would like to add to this to bring the weight where it should be. But I've got a run cam hybrid in this, so yeah, it doesn't really make much sense from that standpoint. So I don't know. I probably won't do a 4-inch Micro Apex build. Because, yeah, I mean, you're just putting bigger and bigger and bigger motors on it, and you can just do a 3-inch build that flies pretty damn similar. And, you know, once you get to, like, 300 grams, 350 grams, well, now it's like, is this actually any safer than a 5-inch rig? Like, of course it is, but, like, I don't love the idea of hammering a 300-gram rig around when there's, like, people, you know? And for me, that's kind of the point of micros, is to be able to fly them around in spots that you're not 100% sure are going to be completely empty. So yeah, I don't really know. Richard says, I'm thinking of building Beta FPV HX115 frame with 2.5-inch props. It's a 3-inch toothpick long range. long-range rigs, it's not a terrible idea to run a bigger arm and a smaller propeller, because then you get more separation between the props, and that's going to let the tip vortices. So there's, in between the propellers on each side, you've got one spinning this way and the other one spinning that way. Yeah, like that. So the tip vortices are hitting each other in the middle. So if you space those props out a little bit, it's going to help with efficiency, because those tip vortices are going to have a little bit more space to disperse in the air. So that's a cool idea, Richard. Tyler DD says, I'm about to update my Tiny Hawk 2 Freestyle to from 4.1 Betaflight to the newest Betaflight version. Will I have to reflash ESCs to get bidirectional D-Shot / RPM filtering back? I'm noobish. If you have bidirectional on right now, the answer is no. Which I think you might. I think RPM filtering popped up in... No, RPM filtering came in 4.2. So... Well, yeah, that's the way I have to answer the question. If you have bidirectional on now, then you won't have to do anything. I don't think you do, because I don't think it was in 4.1. So yeah, I think you're going to need to go into BL Heli and update your ESCs to the most recent ESC firmware, which is pretty easy. Lots of videos here on YouTube how to do that. And then you can also update from 4.1 to either 4.2 or 4.3. Although I don't think 4.3 stable is out quite yet. 4.2 is totally fine. You'll love 4.2. Matthew Smith, you can absolutely ask a question. Just do me a favor and make sure you type CiottiFPV somewhere in your comment so that it lights up in orange for me, because I only read the comments that are either super chats or where people have typed my name. I just can't read the entire chat. Dan Richmond says, for BL Heli S, Bluej has the ability to do RPM filtering for free, unlike JESC. I've used both Bluej's, working fine for me, also different PWM choices. So the newest version of BL Heli S is free and does allow RPM filtering, so that's not necessarily an advantage of Bluej. But the different PWM choices, that could potentially be an advantage. With BL Heli S, what you need to do is pick. You either run a 48K version or a 24K version. If Bluej allows you to, and like it's not hard to switch between them, but whatever, you have to reflash. So if Bluej just has like a drop down, which will allow you to the different PWM choices, that could be cool. That's a definite advantage. What I would really love is if Bluej had variable PWM. That would get me over onto the Bluej side of the world for BL Heli S for sure. But I have a feeling that it doesn't. Metal Dirtskins here. He says, fix some flight characteristics on my 5-inch 250 by going to Bluej and changing some ESC settings. I would have to look up which ones though. That's interesting. Metal, were those? It sounds like those were ESC settings that weren't available to you on BL Heli S. Am I correct in saying that? License to Drive says, get the Fat Shark Scout HD goggles for the director to look through. I wouldn't necessarily want to give a director goggles. Them having a screen is typically what you want, because they're kind of like, they're looking up at the talent and then looking back down and then looking up at the talent. And then I would also have to buy another shark bite module, and that would get kind of expensive. I mean, unless something really insane happens with shark bite, I can't possibly imagine a world where I move all my rigs over to it and start using it professionally. What I would really like is for a monitor to come out for DJI, and hopefully for it not to be $1,000. That would really be kind of like one of the last missing pieces to me switching over to DJI. But analog is totally fine. We've flown analog for many, many, many years. 99% of the FPV edits that we love were flown on analog goggles and on analog video systems. So, you know, it's good enough for me. Frank Nicholas says, wireless monitor setup has been there for 1+ years with DJI smart controller and second goggles. Yeah, in my opinion, though, that's not, I mean, that's, you know, that's like $2,000. I just, yeah, I don't have that kind of money. That's kind of nuts. And plus, you know, smart controller, second set of goggles, I mean, like, that's huge. That's like, you know, now you're carrying around like minimum 2 bags, and I'm not doing that. That's insane. We need a much better system for that, in my honest opinion. Ramdonko tagged me. Didn't say anything, just tagged me with 2 little hands. Maybe that's a clapping thing. Frank says, new DJI Action 2 camera is released and weighs 56 grams. I was wondering what the weight was going to be on that. $400. Jesus Christ on a cracker. I've been keeping a real close eye on this thing because it looks pretty good. I'm going to let other people do all the work testing this thing, and then if it's durable, I can maybe jump on board. But this is what it looks like. I'm pretty sure that they use the exact same session specs. I'm kind of annoyed that they're using FPV shots very much not shot with this camera on here. That's kind of fucking... That's false advertising, but, you know, whatever. But yeah, there it is. There you can see it. So yeah, this is exciting. If it is durable and or gonna be sold at Best Buy or Amazon where we can get a protection plan on it, yeah, this is really, really interesting. The specs look real good. And DJI makes a hell of a camera and a hell of a sensor. I mean, they don't make the sensor, but they choose a hell of a sensor. So we'll see. Man, $400 though. Oof, that's rough. That makes a $200 Session 5 on eBay a lot more palatable. Until the point where you can get physical damage protection on the DJI camera. So yeah, that's really exciting. It's really, really exciting that that they chose to stick with the same sizing as the GoPro Sessions. Although it's a lot skinnier. I guess you just put like foam behind it or something. We'll figure it out. Riot9 says, problem with the Micro Apex 5-inch arms are the mounting holes are 12x12 or 9x9 or whatever garbage. I mean, that's pretty standard. 12x12, 9x9, that's the right. Oh, 5-inch arms. Okay, so you want like 16x16 so you can put big-ass motors on them? Yeah, I guess. Put some real motors on the Micro, big arms, heavy frame, and full size. Yeah, but I mean, you know, that's what the full-size Apex is for, right? Like the Micro Apex is specifically meant to be lightweight. So for me, it makes sense that they're 12x12 or 9x9. I actually would not want to see a Micro Apex with 16x16 mount arms, because I can all but guarantee you that at that point, it's going to get so heavy that you're going to start to break the top plate and the base plate and the X plate and shit like that. I see what you're saying though, Riot9, but yeah, I don't know. I guess for like long range guys, but Mudderson says RPM bidirectional D-Shot started in Beta Flight 4.1. Okay, cool. So yeah, then whoever was asking, you should be good to go to switch from 4.1 to 4.2. As long as you've got RPM filter already going. Dave Penicillin, Dave Pencilgwin says variable RPM for Bluej is in the works right now. Very, very, very cool. When that comes out, I will be all over it for sure. Patio Patterson says EV800D is a great screen with DVR for $100. Analog only though, right, Patty? I've got two monitors actually for analog at the moment, which is great. FPV says just use a Raspberry Pi and the output app, but then you still have to have them hooked up to a set of goggles. So that's another $500 for an extra set of goggles, and they're gigantic. So that's not a real solution for me. And to be super honest, like handing a director this like insane setup with like a set of goggles and a fucking cable going to a screen and shit, like, here, I'll be over there. It's just like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's just silly that there's not like a monitor with a receiver built in for DJI yet. But DJI is still new, right? It didn't exist 2 years ago. So License to Drive says, small thought, HDMI splitter on the SharkPipe VRX, one output to goggles, the other to a wireless HDMI transmitter. That's interesting. Director could plug the wireless HDMI RX into their screen/rig. It's an interesting idea. Ramdanko says, does the Peanut come with easy-to-use software? I mean, it's going to come with the Insta360 Go software. I mean, it doesn't come with it, but you just download the Insta360 Go software, which is, I guess I would call that easy to use. It's not terrible. It's not great, but I would call it easy to use, yeah. Whack FPV says it will be at Best Buy. I think he's talking about the DJI camera. I had a feeling, because Best Buy does sell DJI stuff, so that'll be great. Once that camera is in Best Buy, that's cool. And man, it's lightweight. I think, what did Frank say, 56 grams? That's really light. That's a really, really nice weight. That would pull the, 56 grams. That would bring my my glides down well under 600 grams, which would be amazing. I would, at that point, I would definitely drop down to 4.9 inch propellers for sure. The 5.1 inch propellers with a sub 600 gram glide would probably be a little bit too floaty, which is be an interesting problem to have. CH3FPV says, from my 20 years video experience, that DJI Action 2 is garbage. I saw all the videos today. Nothing compares as a GoPro, even the 6. I'm comparing it to the Session 5, though. I don't think it's a fair comparison to compare that thing to any of the GoPro Heroes. So, CH3, any thoughts on the DJI Action versus the Session 5? Because that's really all I care about. Frank Nicholas says, DJI is 2 years old, released August, September 2019. Wow, I can't believe it's been out that long. Bob Noxious says, Runcam Orange is 55 grams. It is, but my Runcam Orange died on the very first crash. And I don't think you can get physical damage protection on them, so I never thought. Also, I didn't really like the video quality of the Runcam Orange. It's basically a Runcam hybrid in a box, which can't really compare to a Session or a Session. All right, cool. So let's start tearing this goddamn. Hold on, let me make sure I have all these. Make sure I have all these screws tightened up here. I don't want to forget to do this. One of them has apparently stripped out. That's kind of annoying. But hopefully it stays in there. Okay, so this guy is somewhat good to go. I just need to put the... Oh, well, I need to take these camera plates off again. Let me do something real quick here. Real quick, like. And all I need to do, the only other thing I need to do on this rig is shrimp wrap the RXSR antennas to the zip ties. I went with a different little zip tie setup. You see the little red zip ties in the back there? Don't fall, fucker. You see the little red zip ties? That's how I'm going to run the antennas this time. Which should be cool. It helps when you loosen it instead of tightening it, you jackass. Bob Noxious says prices for used sessions are close to $180 to $200. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but unfortunately, they are still so much more durable than anything else available that, in my opinion, it's still worth that amount of money. That being said, I have not bought one for $200. The most I've ever paid for a session at this point has been $140, I think. Maybe $160. I think $140 is the most that I've paid for one. Yeah, I really hope that DJI camera is somewhat durable. If it is somewhat durable and sold at Best Buy, I am all the way in. I will destroy the rest of my sessions and switch on over and start doing the Best Buy protection plans over and over and over again. Because even if it is durable, we're still gonna annihilate it. But the Best Buy protection plan is God, so it doesn't really matter for us cheeseburgers because we can just smash the shit out of it and bring it on back to Best Buy and say, I don't know what happened. I was using it and then I fell down and it went boom. And they go, okay, here's another one. Good luck. Come on, you jerk off. Get in there. These camera plates that I have are early production, basically like prototypes, which is why they don't fit quite perfect, and I have to use a hammer to get them in there. I think that's probably close enough, though. Let's see. Yep, we're good. All right, so 250 is ready for absolute torture. It actually is. Like the 250 is now in torture mode. Previously with the 20x20 stack, it was in fly it carefully mode because the front arms were not really easily replaceable because of the way that I had to build it for the 20x20 stack. But now that it's got the AIO in it, the front arms are replaceable, so I'm gonna beat the living shit out of this thing, and we're gonna see what happens. Metal Dirtskin says, what would be the perfect 3.5 motor size? Mine now has the 2004s from FPV Crate, which are smooth but kind of janky. Metal, I haven't tested that much. All I've tested so far are 1804s, and they were pretty amazing. I've now got 2004 Aerolights on here, so soon enough I'll be able to give you some feedback on 2004 versus 1804 on a 3.5-inch prop, because I'm not going to go up to the 4-inch prop on this rig. This is a rig for the 3.5-inch prop, in my opinion. I mean, I just don't like 4-inch propellers. There's just not... there's not... you know, with that DJI camera, though, 4-inch propeller... I mean, this would kind of... This rig on 4-inch propellers with that DJI camera would actually be pretty interesting. Because that camera would bring this thing up to the right weight for a 4-inch propeller. Unfortunately, I've got a Runcam hybrid in mind, so I'm probably not going to carry 2 HD cameras around, right? Like, that's kind of insane. But yeah, that could breathe some life into 4-inch. That DJI camera being so lightweight. So that's kind of an interesting thought. This is just going to turn into an entire Q&A stream because you guys have all these really good questions tonight. The other option, metal dirt skin, for the right motor for a 3.5-inch prop, it would be potentially something like a 1605, for example. 1605 is going to have roughly the same stator volume as an 1804. So if there was a 1605 made that ran nice and smooth, there isn't one yet, but maybe there will be one. That might be better than the 1804. But right now, here today, the Xnova 1804 is beautiful on a 3.5-inch prop. Absolutely beautiful. Just big enough, not too big. The right KV works really well with the Gemfan 3520s. Great combo of motor and propeller. CH3 says, I have the Session 5.2, but I haven't got ND filters, and I can't find good ones like the Polar Pros, so I can't really tell and compare. I actually use the TBS Jello guards, and they've been amazing. They're very neutral. They don't have the purple tint that a lot of the other ND filters have. Polar Pros are almost always going to outperform because they're really expensive. But yeah, the TBS Jello guards, and they're also strong. The TBS Jello guards are nice thick glass, so they're the strongest of the ND filters that I've found. Lit Sculpture says Best Buy has them for sale and with 2 to 4 year Geek Squad protection plan. So there we go. Wow, nice. JT Custom Knives says Best Buy had them. CH3FPV says watch Potato Jet review. He crashes at the end of the video and beat the crap out of it. Cam destroyed. Well, that's not great news. I don't think Potato Jet is a great pilot, though. I'm really looking to see like a seasoned FPV freestyle pilot crash it and hear their review, because those are the guys that have flown sessions that, you know, are kind of dialed in to how hard, like a realistic expectation of what a camera can and can't put up with, I think is the way that I need to say that. Alec Dvornik is in the house. What's up, brother? He says, how do you determine how big of a battery you use in terms of weight? I tend, and this goes for most of the determinations that I make, I just kind of like look at what currently like. So, like, let's talk about 4-inch, right? So the question would be, how do you determine how big of a battery to use on a 4-inch rig, right? So basically what I would do is I would look at, like, what I've run on a 5-inch that I like, what I've run on a 3-inch that I've liked, and I just go in between. So then if that question becomes, well, what about on a 7-inch rig? I would just take, like, the 5-inch stuff and just start to scale it up. Where did this screw go? This screw fell out of the motor, and it was right here, and I bet you I knocked it onto the goddamn floor. Oh, nope, it's in my crotch. Found it. My crotch saved it for me. Thanks, crotch. I like the word crotch, if you guys couldn't tell. Alright. Good to go. So yeah, I just go by what we know works now, and then just scale it up or scale it down, and then try it and see how it is. Josh Robinson says, what's your favorite motor for a 3-inch frame? That's a little too open-ended of a question, Josh. To be totally honest, because like it kind of leaves out the all-up weight. if it's a 3-inch build that's 100 grams all up versus a 3-inch build that's 300 grams all up, the you know, my favorite motor or the best motor choice is going to be completely different. So all I can do is talk about like my specific build. So on my current 3-inch build, which is at an all-up weight of about 230 or so grams, give or take, depending on the battery. At the moment, I think my favorite motor is the iFlight 1504, but the Toka 1505 is also really good. The Emax 1306s are also really good, and the RCX 1306s are also really good. So there's a couple of different options there. The performance between those motors is pretty similar, and there's not one that's more durable than another. So you can kind of close your eyes and point to one of those motors, and if your all-up weight is near what mine is, you'll have a really good performing rig. If your all-up weight is like 250, 260 grams, I would go with the Toka 1505. That's the biggest of those motors. If your all-up weight is 230 or 220 or 210, I would go with the iFlight 1504. 1306 is somewhere in between. Noam Weissman says, it's not the DJI Action. Just saw a review where it crashed, and MedStech raised that exact concern, as their body is aluminum and the screen is end-to-end. Yeah, I mean, the screen is going to go immediately. Like, the screen on the back of that camera is, like... Yeah, that's going to break the first fucking crash, for sure. Well, I guess that's another good point. If that camera has to be operated from the screen, if there's no Bluetooth integration with your phone, I am not going to be buying that camera, because that rear screen is going to have the battery bombarding into it. Well, maybe not. With how thin that camera is, maybe the rear screen won't get destroyed right away. Maybe. But I would assume that it would. Ramdonko says, trying Dow 3-inch props and GemFan 3-inch props at the moment when I get the rig going again. The best 3-inch props, hands down, at the moment are the Dow 3028s, 3028. There are no GemFan 3-inch props that can hold a candle to those Dows, unfortunately. But there probably will be in the future. Frank Nicholas says, DJI camera works with app and screen. Awesome. So we're good to go. I couldn't imagine a world where they wouldn't make it Bluetooth controllable, but you know, who knows? Let me throw shrimp wrap on these. Why is this camera fucked up? On these thingies, and then this 250 will actually be done, and then we can start tearing apart the Cinesplore. This is gonna be a little longer of a stream, I'm thinking, because we got lots to do. Do I not have shrimp wrap that's a little bit thinner than this? Is it in this bag down here? Well, that's thick as a brick. Is it down here? I try to use clear shrimp wrap on the antennas so that I can see whether or not the fuckers get chopped, but it would appear that I have run out of clear shrimp wrap that's thin enough. But let me just take another quick look here. Maybe I put it in the top of the toolbox here. Hopefully you guys aren't staring directly at my penis. I wouldn't want to unleash that evil on anybody in the chat. What is this? What is this? Ooh, there's some shrimp wrap. Nope, it's black. Yeah, so I'm all out of clear shrimp wrap. It's kind of annoying. Not the end of the world though. All right, so let's just real quick, like, hold these guys on here, and I'll get them shrunk up, and then the 250 will actually be good to go. Man, these are fucking long. So it's basically going all the way to the tip. Problem I have all the time. All right, here we go. And chop it right there. Okay. And then the other side's probably going to be the same, right? All the way out. Yep. All right, cool. So quick click. We want it to be on this side, and we're just going to send this guy down. Get the antenna in there. The antenna in there, as Nick Burns would pronounce it. Where's Nick Burns from? Kansas, I think, right? It's that Kansas pronunciation of antenna. I love that guy. If you guys aren't subscribed to Nick Burns, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Get your ass over there and subscribe right now. He's a great guy. Great person to be friends with. Just a good human, man. Good humans all over the place in FPV. We're a bunch of lucky folks to have access to such cool people. This is a little too tight, actually. This shrimp wrap is not good. Not good. I need it to be a little bit bigger. Is this red shit a little bigger? Or is it even smaller? I think it's the same size. Nope, it's smaller. Shitters. Alright, so we need to go one step up, which brings us to these little guys, doesn't it? Are these little friends the right size? I think they are. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so hold it there, and then I'm just going to chop it roughly here. I try to do this before I put the shrink wrap on, because I don't want to accidentally clip the end of the antenna, because that will destroy its tune. The length of the exposed silver and clear part of these antennas is very important. If you ever accidentally shorten one of them, it is pretty much ruined. You can remeasure it, but to be honest with you, just bail and just get another one. It's really hard to get it exactly right. Farts, come on, I need to figure out how to get this to not move. There we go. Okay, that's all I need to do. So I'm just going to come in here and grab this antenna wire and just kind of hold it in place. Why does everything I do take forever? There we go. And then... oh, fuck me, I cut it a little too short. God damn it. Maybe it's the right length for the other side? Perhaps? Or I can just scooch the wire in a little bit. Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. This side's going to have the same issue. Lift these guys up. Grab the wire. Make sure it doesn't scooch on its own. Oh no, this side's perfect. Look at that. Cool. Just bring that back ever so slightly. Come on. There we go. Yeah, okay. Alright, so be real careful here. Just only snip the zip tie, and then we're going to hit this with some heat, shrimp it up, and we'll be good to go. Good to move on to the next one. Bottom. And the top. The bottom one more time. All right, so that should be good to go. Now we're going to grab this other one here, get it sized for this other side, and away we will go into Cinesplore land. Hold that down there, roughly that long. Cut it right up here. I'm going to cut this one a little bit long so I don't make the same mistake as a minute ago. Yeah, that's better. All right, put it on here. Grab that there. And then I just need to grab this wire back here because it's going to want to scooch out of the way. That's the stuff. Much better. Much, much, much better. Okay, cool. So now... Oh yeah, that's just about perfect there this time. Okay, great. And Ramdanko says, what are the stats on that 250? Great question. So this now has a JHE MCU AIO. It's one of their older ones. It's a 35 amp. It's got a set of prototype oh my god Aerolite motors in 3500 kV. They are a 2004, and it also has a Ishin Nano. I'm sorry, no, a Rush Tiny Tank VTX, and a what else? Runcam Hybrid camera, and those are the main specs. These are kind of floppy, but they don't really flop upwards. They mainly just flop downwards, which is what I want. And I'm able to kind of control which direction they bend in with the heat. So there we have it. It's looking pretty good. I want them to kind of stay with the arms. There we go. That's what I want. That's what I want. And I do want to kind of artificially bend them downwards a little bit, just so that they're as far away from the propellers as possible. There we go. That's really what I wanted. I just want them, yeah, to be safe and out of the way. That should be good. I've never run antennas like this before. This is a little bit of an experiment. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm going to put one more little piece all the way down by the head of the zip tie, just to give it a little bit more. They're a little bit waggly right now. I want them to have a little bit less waggle. Let's see what I have in my little spare container here. Oh, it doesn't look like there's anything skinny enough. Nah, we're good. Use some fresh shit here. There's one. Here's another. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I just want something down by the nipple of the zip tie. So let's just throw those down here. Okay. Yeah. Just to stiffen that up a little bit. Oh, that's perfect. There we go. Oh god. I got the red stuff a little too hot. Oh god. Well, the glue came off. Yeah, that feels a little better. Could just be me being a crazy person, but either way, it's okay. I'm okay with it either way. There we go. All set. 250 is ready to go. I'll do the software shit on my side. This is the previous flight controller from it. Alright, fuckers. Let's rip apart a Cinesplore. What do you say? What do you think of that? Journey Droid says Toka 1606. Bad. They are very, very notchy. Stay away from them. Very coggy, very notchy. You'll never get a good tune. They are no good. Do not want. Unfortunately. Same with the Emax 1606s. Very notchy. Ramdanko says, so new, what's wrong with HQ? Nothing's wrong with HQ. They're just not as good as GemFan. HQ actually got its start with a GemFan mold. GemFan is really they're really the OGs. Ramdango says the Gep RC35 looks like it's hit/address desires. Which Gep RC35? The Cinelog 35? Jim Leopardi says floppy, pointed downward, and coming unglued is definitely not desirable. Coming unglued, yeah, exactly. Well, wait, no. Coming unglued, what do you mean coming unglued? June Loco says, at the hospital expecting my third little one. Holy shit, June Loco. Nice, dude. Get it. Dave says, best 3.5-inch prop. There are only like 3 options. Yeah, just get them all, Dave. See which one you like best. Props are a very personal... Prop choice is a very personal decision. And yeah, since there's only 3 options, you might as well just get one of each, or get two or 3 packs of each, and then you can figure it out for yourself. Personally, I like the GemFan 3520s. They match up well with the KV of motor that I run. But if you run a lower KV motor, then you're gonna like the more pitchy versions. So again, yeah, just get a couple of packs of each. It'll cost you like less than $20 total, and you can make up your own mind. With like 5-inch freestyle props, that approach doesn't really fly because there's like 7,000 options. But yeah, with the 3.5-inch props, it's like screw it, just get them all. The Emax 3.5-inch prop has a little bit more pitch than the GemFan, and then I forget what the pitch is on the HQ. Usually HQ props are a little bit higher pitch than GemFan props. I think because the HQ blade profile is a lot less efficient than the GemFan blade profiles. So to get the same power, it feels like HQ has to use pitch to get that thrust back. I could be wrong about that, but that's what it sort of feels like when I look at it. I have to take these ducts off too. I have to take these ducks off. I got 4 ducks on my rig. I gotta feed them and then take them off. So I think what we're gonna do, since it's we're pushing 10 o'clock already, I think I'm just gonna do the disassembly tonight, and then on Friday we'll dive back in and do some more work on this, because I do want to get this knocked out as quick as possible, because it makes me anxious to only have one working Cinewoop. I've never had to go to the backup Cinewoop. I have a 15-degree mount on the backup and a 5-degree mount on the main. So there have been times that I've used the backup, but I've never had to. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make me like pee out of my ass anxious, but it does make me anxious to only have one working Cinewoop. Although, I mean, it feels like the music video season is coming to a close here with the colder temperatures. I have not been booked for a gig. This is week number 2 that I've not been booked for a flying gig. So admittedly, that's a little scary. If I lose the flying gigs altogether, it's going to be a little bit of a financial struggle towards the end of the year here. But I talked to the shop that has the Miata, and I mean, this doesn't really mean anything because they've had the car for over a year at this point, and they've given me a million dates that it would be done by and missed all of them. But they say that it'll be ready in November. So if I can get that car back, I can then sell it and probably get like $4 or $5 grand from it, and then live off of that. You know, I can live off of that and Patreon for probably 4 or 5 months. And that would pretty much get me by until the end of my lease. And if all keeps going the way it's been going, Maggie and I are probably going to live together, and that will be huge for me, because my expenses will go way, 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 way down, and I'll be living with my favorite person in the world and 2 of the most amazing children that I've ever met. So yeah, we'll see. I can't imagine that I won't get any gigs, right? I also, like, none of the shit that I've flown has been edited. Like, what my little cycle is, I fly a gig. Once that gig gets edited and put up in front of, I mean, Christ, tens of thousands of people. It depends on who the gig is for. I then get a bunch of bookings from that. And then when those get edited and get put up, I'll then get a bunch more bookings from those. So yeah, if it keeps going that way, I've done some of the biggest work in the last month. So when those go up, you know, it should be kind of nuts, which would be great. I would absolutely love that. But I just got to kind of wait for it. I haven't had any luck reaching out to people and trying to solicit work from them. I've only really gotten gigs from people finding me and coming to me with a project. So yeah. Jim Leopardi says, how long have you been building and flying drones? I'm coming up on 5 years. I started back in 2016, I think it was 2016, and I think the whole quad camp shenanigans happened in like January or February of 2017, and that's really where that was really what gave me a ton of motivation to really hit this shit hard. Is when that happened. And yeah, I put a shitload of time in after that for year after year after year, and here I am. I've been doing the live streaming thing for a little over a year here, and yeah, I don't know. It's been quite the ride. Lots of ups, lots of downs, some pretty serious life changes and kicks in the nuts. But that's life, man. That is life. I can pretty confidently not recommend that anybody try to make a career out of FPV. It is... You gotta... I mean, if you're gonna do it... if you're gonna do it, and if you're gonna succeed at it, me saying that is not even gonna fucking slow you down a little bit. So I can kind of, I feel fine saying that, you know what I mean? It's really, really difficult. It's freelance life. It's, yeah, it's tough. And trying to do it like fully at like, so one of the saving graces and really what was the carrot on the string for me for a long time now has been that I never planned on trying to make a go of this with an audience 100% FPV. So like the old dream of you get really good at flying, you make really good freestyle edits, and then the FPV community pays your bills. I think those days are pretty much gone. I don't think that there are enough people actively in FPV, actively watching flight edits for that to really work. I have not seen anybody do that in a long, long, long time. For me, I never really wanted that to, like, I don't want to be like a fucking YouTube personality. Like that is absolutely not something that it's something that I actively don't want, to be honest with you guys. The fact that it's happened to some extent, to some tiny little extent, I should say, is fine. But that was never the plan and will never be the plan. Because yeah, the number that really limits you, and I mean we've seen this, right? Like what pro pilots are there left, right? Like that are still making edits? Just Steele, right? He's the only one, and he doesn't count because he was the first one. So of course he's gonna be able to do that, right? Everybody else has moved away from that as they're living, and they've all moved in the direction that I always wanted to go, which is cinematic work. Because with cinematic work, now your audience, I mean, here's one of the things. This is going to sound horrible, but FPV as a hobby, to some extent, attracts. I'm just going to say this, and it's going to sound harsh, but it's not meant to be harsh. Attracts broke motherfuckers, myself included. Like, I left motorsport because it was too expensive, and really fell in love with FPV because of how much cheaper it was. And so, yeah, like the audience of FPV fans is an audience of people that don't have a ton of money. And that's, I'm not saying that as a bad thing, that's just the reality of it, right? Whereas going into the cinematic side of things is the complete opposite, because now you've got an audience of people that absolutely have budgets. In some cases, huge budgets. In some cases, not so huge, but yeah, I mean, budgets for sure. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's been a big part. That was kind of one of the only reasons that I was able to convince myself to do this full time. If it hadn't been for that, I would have absolutely said no way in hell. It's not stable enough. No health insurance. Lots and lots and lots of reasons to not have this as a career. But if you can get really good, you can put a camera in some wild situations, and the film community is starting to come around and realize that we exist and we can do this. And yeah, it's been fucking really, really interesting. 2-Bit Tech says, compliment. You are an interesting, intelligent, and similar to my own personal ideals in combination with intelligence from what I've seen from watching your live streams over the last month. Thanks, 2-Bit. That's very cool of you to say, man. I hope you've learned a lot and get some enjoyment out of this. This live stream originally started from my literally just wanting to spread the micro knowledge that I had fought tooth and nail to figure out to as many people as possible. Like, this stream just started as like a fun way of spreading the knowledge in hopes that more people would be as interested as I am in micros and would be willing to keep the learning going and keep the R&D cycle for micros going. And then people in the chat would be like, yo, you should do a Patreon so we can support you. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And eventually I was like, all right, I'll do that. And I did that. And then, you should have a website. Okay, I'll make a link tree. And it was like, so a lot of this journey has just been like completely kind of crowdsourced without me asking, which has been like amazing. Chat has always had this amazing way of just being like, yo, you should do this. And I'm like, I don't want to. And then like 3 more people ask. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. Fuck, god damn it. You want t-shirts? I'll give you fucking t-shirts. Hey, something else I forgot to mention on these new goggles. I'm gonna use these a little bit, and this wacky little antenna setup here is kind of because Chomper sent me one of those big old Axie patch antennas that's like a double patch or whatever. It's real tall. But it doesn't fit. It won't fit in my bag with that attached, and I try not to take the antennas off and on and off and on because it wears at the SMA connectors. I bought this left-hand circular polarized antenna because some people have said that rapid fire, if you run a right hand and a left hand, sometimes the VTX will send out. So I have a right hand circular on all my rigs, but sometimes it'll take like a weird bounce and it'll actually come in as left hand circular polarized. So I bought this antenna a long time ago, and I tried it like once, and I was like, I don't know, I can't tell a difference. And I took it off, and that was that. So I want to really give it a go. And what's cool is with the little OSD on the rapid fire, it's got little bars. So I'll be able to tell if like I have the right hand on the top. So if the top bar is always outperforming the bottom bar, I'll know that there's no point in doing this. But if the bottom bar is ever outperforming the top bar, I'll know that, hey, this is a cool little setup that works. But yeah, this is also born from just these are the antennas that I had here. So yeah, that could be kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe not. June Lucas says, will you be trying out the new DJI Action Cam? Looks pretty awesome for us. Eventually, but I don't have $400. Money's going to be a little tight for me for the next 6 or so months. So yeah, I don't have the money to shell out. Plus, you know, it's a new product, so everybody will jump all over it, so I probably won't have to wait very long for a pro pilot that I trust and or know to get their hands on one to start crashing it and see how it does. So pretty quickly I'll get some R&D done for me by the community. Ramdango says, Dow's 3-inch and GemFan's 3-inch look similar and very different, much less surface area, yet to test, boost, CiottiFPV and all. The problem with the GemFan 3-inch props is they're not durable. Blade profile be damned, they're just not durable, and that's a total deal breaker. So yeah, right now, if you're buying a 3-inch propeller, it's got to be the Dow. It's got to be the Dow 3028. It's just so much more durable than any of the GemFan 3-inch props. Yeah. But it won't be the only option for long, I'll bet. Adrian says, how did you meet your current girlfriend? Match.com, Adrian. Yeah, I tried Tinder and Match.com, and Match.com was a lot better. It feels like Match has more people looking for like actual relationships versus just looking to hook up. Tinder seems to be more for people that are just looking to get some ass, and that's just not me. I just, you know, I have no interest in just banging anything with legs. I don't know. I would rather have an emotional relationship and connection with another human being, and then for physical things to come from that, versus just, dude, bro, I banged like 18 girls last month. It doesn't do it for me. Ramdango says, yep, Cine 35 Gep RC looks like a good frame, too advanced for the size, cam stable, etc. The Cinelog 35 is interesting and confusing. It has a shitload of power, but cinema rigs don't really need a shitload of power. The Cinelog 35 for me is hard to fly in a cinematic setting. It's way easier to fly in a freestyle setting, but in a freestyle setting, it's going to get outperformed by like a 5-inch rig. So it's an interesting rig. I am going to be bringing it if whatever the next gig that I get is. I am going to bring it and see if I can run it. But yeah, I don't know. It's too much power for any kind of like a cinematic setting where you would want prop guards. Like, you're not going to be flying around people at like 50 miles an hour. So if you're going to be flying 50 miles an hour, there's really no need for prop guards. In most cases. I don't know. Here's what I'll say about it. I'm sure that there's a scenario where it's the perfect rig. But out of the scenarios that I've been in, I can maybe only think of one time that was the case, and the Cinesplore was completely fine. Like, the Cinelog might have been a little bit better, but in that scenario, A, the Cinesplore was totally fine. B, that was just like, I would have had to like fly the Cinelog and then the Cinesplore and then the Cinelog and then the Cinesplore, and it's like, I would rather just fly one rig over and over and over again so that I don't have to adjust my muscle memory every single time. That's what's that's what's always like a big thing for me with these new rigs is like, can I use this for everything? You know, like we're getting these rigs now that are like really like laser focused on like this one specific use case, and I just don't like the idea of having 30 different rigs, each one of them very specifically, having like a very specific use. And then every time I go out and fly, the rig that I'm flying is going to perform a little bit differently. I have flown these Cinesplores more this year than every other type of rig combined, and I've gotten pretty fucking good. Those of you that are on my Patreon got to see the big fly through that I did in Asheville, like the 2.5 minute route around that property, and like that was only like the 4th take, maybe the 5th take, I think, and it was like nailed down. Like I was whizzing that thing right by people's heads, and like so yeah. And I've made it a point to fly to build both Cinesplores to fly identical for the most part, and I've just flown them. And yeah, so I can't imagine a world where the Cinelog 35 could be your only rig. I cannot imagine using that indoors around people and also like outside. It just doesn't work well indoors. It doesn't have tall enough ducts, and it's just got way too much power. And like, yes, you can take some of the power away with throttle limiting and throttle scaling and whatnot, but then you're just dragging around heavier motors for no reason. So yeah, I mean, there's a reason that like the OG Cinesplore is still being used by most people that are filming cinematic shit. The tall ducts keep the speed down. They also make it less slidey, which is a good thing when you're trying to fly down like a tight hallway or through like a tight doorway. So yeah, it's an interesting build, but it's not gonna light the world on fire, I don't think. Frank Nicholas says, I don't buy that a signal bounce could reverse the circular polarization of a signal. Fact check and convince yourself, but doesn't seem realistic. I agree 100%. All I can say is that the 1 or 2 batteries that I did try that left-hand circular polarized antenna, I think I remember that antenna outperforming the other antenna at certain times. I don't know. The OSD won't lie though, and I'll do some DVR with it. You know what I'll do when I get this tiny whoop built that's going to be flown around inside? That's going to collect DVR, and we'll get to see. I'll use these goggles, and we'll get to see. Carl H with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. He says, hey man, put together the tiny whoop from your giveaway a couple months ago. Still struggling with addiction. Think I gotta move out to somewhere that has an FPV community. Nice. Glad to hear that you got that built, man. That's awesome. Addiction is a motherfucker, man. Have you spent any time with Healthy Gamer GG? If not, here on YouTube, Healthy Gamer GG is Dr. Alok Kanoja's channel. He's also over on Twitch, and he's got a lot of content surrounding addiction. So go to his channel here on YouTube. Go to his click videos to look at all of his videos, and there's a little search function here. I'll show you. So search for Healthy Gamer GG. I think I just spelled that wrong, but it'll probably figure it out. Yep. So come in here and come into videos, and then you've got a little search field. You can search for addiction. So Dr. K is actually literally an addiction psychologist. That is what his education is in, and he works at Harvard Medical School as with a specialization in gaming addiction. So if there's anybody that can help you out over the internet, it's potentially him. So yeah, give him a shot. He's also got a coaching program, and he has a video series that he's done. But yeah, spend some time with that. My understanding of addiction is that it's similar enough to mental illness, like depression and anxiety, which I have 40 years of experience with. To basically be able to say that the biggest thing is going to be putting the work in. I wish with any of this shit that there was a magic pill that we could take. There are pills, but they're certainly not magic. To take the last 10 plus years of what I've learned going to talk therapy, just trying to figure out how to live a life with this shit. If I take all of that shit and distill it down into like a couple words, those words would be do the work. There are resources where we can learn what the best work for us to do is, and that's a big part of it. But then the hard part is doing it. And I struggle terribly with that every day. Have for a long time. I don't have the answers. But the days that I do the work are the days that I feel best, and usually the following day I'll feel pretty good too. But it's hard. It's obscenely difficult. But it's the only way. So, you either do it and then your life will be a little bit better, but you'll be maybe a little bit more tired. So that's the thing. I can't even say that, because it's like when I'm faced with the decision whether or not to do the work right now, the laziness can come on and be like, no, you can't do that. But the really evil part is if you get past that and you actually do the work right now, because your brain will be like, no, I'm too tired, I'm too lazy, I'm too whatever, I can't do it, I'll be too tired later, and I'm too tired now. But what the really maddening thing is that if you do the work, it'll make you feel better and it'll make you feel less tired. But man, trying to convince your brain of that in the moment is a motherfucker. And I don't have an answer to that. I really don't. And I still struggle with that. I have days where I wake up and I have some motivation to do that stuff, and I do it, and it's great, and those are great days. But then I have days that I don't, and we have to forgive and now you get into the self-care side of this, right, where it's it does not help to beat the shit out of yourself mentally on those days that you don't have it in you. That does not help. But at the same time, if you keep making excuses and you keep giving yourself those days off, right? You have to walk this line of not beating yourself up for it, but also driving yourself. One of the things that I've worked super hard on this year in talk therapy, and that my talk therapist is really good with guiding me down this path is different. We've got all these different parts of us, and the one part inside me that I have, so by parts, we have a gentle part, we have a caring part, we have a what I call a pusher part, We have a part that hates ourselves. We have a part that loves ourselves. We have all these parts of our personality, of our self in our head. And for me, the biggest struggle is with this pusher part of me. And the pusher part of me pushes me to be better and pushes way too hard. And then that comes out in like self-destruction and like I hate myself basically. So then initially what you do when you find this out is you go, oh well, fuck it, I hate that part of me, I'm gonna just push that part of me down, or I'm just gonna ridicule that part of me, and anytime it becomes active I'm gonna be like, no, you're a dick, I'm gonna exile you. And you can't do that either, because when you do that, then you just sit on the couch for a week. You need that pusher part to push you, but it needs to push you at the right time. And that's been a huge struggle for me. But I'm better at it now than I've ever been. And that's a good analog for like all of mental illness and addiction, right? It's like you can't be over here or over here. You gotta fucking find this middle ground. And for me, the biggest part of finding that middle ground is putting in the work. That's the hardest part. So, Dan Richmond says, I added a stair-step version and sent it to Rob. Hopefully he hasn't started the last one. He can print the new one for you instead. Added a very cool thing. God damn, Dan, you're quick, brother. Carl H. with another $10 super chat. Thanks, brother. Didn't mean to be a downer. I appreciate you a lot. Just do it. Get after it. Procrastination is the death of me. Positivity is the driving force. Not a downer at all, Carl H. I will always, always, always talk about mental illness on these streams. FPV is great and all, but the real world is way more important than FPV. And from what I've been told by a lot of you kind-ass motherfuckers is that my ability to talk about this shit, I have an ability to talk about this shit in a way that's relatable, but also that it really helps you guys out a lot. And like the messages that I get that bring me to tears are the ones about mental illness. Good tears. So I'm almost more willing to talk about mental illness shit on these live streams than FPV stuff, because talking about FPV stuff ain't gonna really change anybody's life, you know? Whereas talking about mental illness shit has already and will continue to. So yeah, absolutely not a downer, Carl. In a stark contrast to that, brave, man. Like it's fucking brave as shit to send me two $10 super chats and be open with the world that's watching and say, yeah, I've got addiction. Yeah, I'm fucking broken. But also at the same time is that incredibly courageous, because it means that you want to change it, right? Like, and that's all that really matters. So yeah, man, keep going. FPV therapy over on Facebook. Go to CiottiFPV.com. Scroll down to the bottom if you're not already on it. There's a link to FPV therapy. It's a group over on Facebook that a bunch of us that fly, who also have mental illness shit going on, hang out. It's not a spot to drop flight edits. I leave flight edits for about 24 hours and then I delete them. It's a spot to share memes, Dr. K videos, whatever the fuck has helped you or hurt you, to be honest, in this journey. A lot of courageous people over there sharing. I've shared as much as I possibly can. So read my story. Maybe it'll help you out a little bit. But yeah, it's hard, brother. It's a hard fucking path. But there's a whole shitload of us that are on that are in it with you. And we'll do whatever we can. Pixel Pusher says, hey. Kaiser Soze says, I love you. So glad you discussed mental health. People need to do that more. Yeah, it's very true. I have a feeling that I swing, like most people are all the way over here and that they don't really talk about it ever. I think we need to be somewhere in here. I tend to swing all the way over here because I'm trying to pull people. Like I tend to talk about it too much because I'm trying to get the people that are all the way over here to swing towards the middle. And I'm fine with that. I'm willing to be the fucking martyr or whatever, whatever it may be. Just do whatever I have to do to a cheater. What the hell is a cheater? What a cheater. What's a cheater? Yeah, for better or worse. All that matters is that occasionally you guys say, holy shit, you helped me out a ton. And then I'm like, oh, good. Fucking gas tank refilled for the next 2 months of screaming and yelling from the rooftops about mental illness shit. So if you guys don't want me to talk about it anymore, just never mention it, and eventually I'll forget about it. No, that's not true. Soldering iron is now up to temperature. It didn't take all that time. I was just on a never-ending mental illness rant. Get used to it. Get used to it. Get used to it. Anybody listen to Harmontown? I don't think any of you guys... I've talked about Harmontown a few times, and I don't think that any of you guys have ever said that you also listen to Harmontown. Harmontown is Dan Harmon's podcast. It is no more, but there are like 200 and some odd episodes that you could listen to if you'd like to. Dan Harmon is the creator of Community and Rick and Morty. And he is, to me, the very definition of tortured genius. And yeah, he's got some serious mental illness shit, but he works through it the best he can. And in my opinion, he is a legit genius. I mean, you kind of can't have anything to do with those two shows, especially like as a writer, director, producer, whatever, and not be a genius, because those shows are both absolute works of art. But yeah, there's also a, if you want to dip your toe into Dan Harmon, wow, that sounds weird. Check out on, well, it used to be on Netflix, it might not. He's got there was a documentary made about him, and it was a documentary made about him and the podcast, because it was a very successful podcast. And the name of the documentary is also Harmontown. That was my first introduction to Dan Harmon, was the documentary, which at the time, a couple years ago, was on Netflix. With the way that Netflix goes through content, it wouldn't surprise me if it's no longer on there, which would be a shame. But I'm sure you guys can find it. Yeah, the documentary is phenomenal. And then the podcast is really good too. And yeah, that little Get Used to It song is from the podcast. That is a deep cut from the podcast. I wonder what ESC this is. I think this might be the Speedix IS35 ESC. That's going to be my guess. So I guess I haven't really talked about what the fuck I'm doing with these Cinesplores, why I'm replacing the ESCs and flight controllers. So in both of these Cinesplores, I put micro ESCs. Lightweight, small, fat, cheap ESCs. And they've been completely fine. Like, it's kind of stupid for me to be doing this. But, I'm building a bunch of ripsqueaks that I want to use these smaller ESCs on. And, I have now realized that with this cinematic flying shit, I'm going to be flying the fuck out of these Cinesplores. So, I want to have the most bomb-proof components on these as I possibly can. So that is why I've decided to do this. So I'm moving over to much more expensive, much nicer, basically ESCs meant for 5-inch rigs on these, just so that it's got a completely bomb-proof ESC on it that's going to perform as good as possible. And I'm also moving to flight controllers that have black box. I put cheapo flight controllers on, I think both of them, that I just had lying around that don't have black box. Although this one might actually have black box. Let me take a look here. Just gotta pull this sticker off the bottom to see if this is an F4 or an F7 processor. Oh, this is an F7 processor. I don't need to nice. I don't need to swap out the flight controller on this one. That is amazing. Okay, so I just need to swap the ESC. I knew that because I sent Brandon's Baked Beans a black box log. It's the other Cinewoop that has the other Cinesplore that has an old school Talon F4 flight controller, which does not have black box, which is just silly. So here's a little bit of a moment of truth here. Will this ESC fit? And the answer is no. It hits these rear standoffs just barely, but it does hit these rear standoffs. So what I could do is run it with the leads forward. Yeah, I could totally do that. Or I could put a different ESC in. I really like the idea of using this Ori 4-in-1 though. It's a gorgeous ESC. And it even comes with this cool little heat sink. So let's put the heat sink on. That'll be infinitely satisfying. There it is. Well, that's fantastic. I don't have to switch a flight controller. That is very good news, because that was going to take a while to get that all desoldered and shit. So let's put this little heatsink on. Maybe not. Maybe I'm not going to have enough room for it. I really don't need it. This is not a build that's going to have a big amp draw. And man, it is going to sit tall on that motherfucker, isn't it? So if that heat sink is on there, I'm going to have to really space some shit out. Pretty seriously, But let's see if it'll still clear. I think it looks like it'll still have enough room. Whoo! Just barely. Just barely. Okay, I'm not going to put it on, because this is already an ESC kind of sort of designed for a 5-inch rig. I am never going to be hammering. You just don't hammer on a Cinewoop. You just don't. It's just not a rig that you put a lot of Stankonia into. So let's leave it there. My voice is kind of starting to go. I'm also kind of hungry. And I'm hoping that Maggie's not asleep yet so I can give her a call and talk to her. So we'll leave it there. I'll finish this up on Friday. Paul McDonald got his package from a giveaway. Swear I missed giveaway Monday and I win. Thank you, sir. You're certainly welcome, Paul. Enjoy. And look at that. I'm caught up on chat. Looks like you guys are all just talking amongst yourselves. Thanks for hanging out, boys and girls. And it looks like the chat's falling off, too. So this is a good time to end. Yeah, thanks for hanging. I'll be back on Friday at... No, I won't. No stream on Friday. Sorry, no stream on Friday. I might stream on Saturday, though, to make up for it. And I'll definitely be streaming on Sunday. So I'll see you guys either Saturday or Sunday Yeah. Love you guys. Here's some more flying from that spot. Enjoy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Kevin, you're still good, right?
Is Kevin still good?
I'll be out of here in a second.
Okay, good. He's good. And here. Oh. See you guys Saturday or Sunday. I fucking love every single one of you. CiottiFPV.com or death.